Time to start running some crowns. Okay, I'm going to do the crown on this side first. So I'm going to move you over there. Ah, yes. The lovely crown. It's so sweet. It's always best when running any material, whether you're trimming out doors, windows, baseboard, it doesn't matter. Do your longest pieces first, because if you screw up the cut, then you can always use that piece in a shorter space. Something that I've had to fall back on many a time. Well, I gotta cut it because it's got one end. Like, I've never seen crown put together this wildly before. I mean, they usually try to make some attempt to flush up the ends, but man, it's just like, here, let's just throw it together. Oh, they did on the other end. But that's not the end I'm interested in. Now I'm interested in what length is it, because if it's 1 inch short, I might have to change up my plan. No, it's good on the length. Just the backer is 1 inch longer than what it should have been, but I can fix that. My elation about setting the crown was quickly quelled by the notion that I actually have to scribe this in. So I got 3-inch crown and a 2 5/8 space, which I'm sure varies from point to point. So I want to measure it about probably every 16 inches apart, take the numbers down, and then transfer them onto the face of this so I can cut this to conform to the ceiling, because I'm sure the ceiling always has some ups and downs. Finishes off at 2 and 11. I guess I have what could be considered a preliminary cut. I'm sure it's not going to just simply jump right in there because there's so much movement. I also came off the line a little bit to, not that I was going to worry about that. I brought my block plane in so I could trim it down, hopefully. It does need a little help, but it almost jumped up in there. And what I don't want to have happen is just this end over here that just drop down and keep on going. That would be really bad. And I don't have any pilots. Crap. Good morning, everybody. This is a new day compared to yesterday. Tell you what, I don't know if this is even going to make the cut, but yesterday was really a difficult day. I was putting in the fillers and I thought I was incredibly short on material and I was trying to make it work. So I couldn't get my head wrapped around about what to do first to make sure my materials usage was appropriate. Come to find out, I was shooting my own self in the foot, that the packages that I'd already handled once, but set them off to the side, in plain sight. Anyway, those packages had all the rest of the filler strips that I was hoping to find to begin with. So with that little revelation at the end of the day, I was able to unwrap my mind with all kinds of stuff that I was trying to get past with material usage. But now I find out that I need to overlay the fillers instead of having them recessed back with the face of the cabinets. They're supposed to be brought out flush with the face of the door. It is a simple overlay. Anyway, it's what I'm used to doing. I just wished I'd have realized that I had all the material to do that with. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and move on with that and start this process to correct what I needed to do to begin with and finish off some of the side panels. I started on the crown already thinking I was going to have some waste to work with that. That's no longer an issue. I have an abundance of filler strips to work with now. So that's going to show, hopefully now, some progress in a fast fashion. Anyway, move on. Before I get into the corner, inside corners, the filler strip fixes that I have to catch back up on. I'm going to get the side panels of these cabinets in place. They're going to be a custom rip. I got a 1/4 inch shim at the top of this one side over here, so it's going to go from 13 inches up to 13 1/4 at the top. This side's not so bad. It's only about 1/8 of an inch off, and it's on the last 12 inches of the piece. But I'm going to custom rip these so they fit the wall very nicely. And there will be one cut left and one right, so I got to be mindful of that. That's when I rip the back. With this size properly now, I'm going to pop this door off so I can clamp this in place. Also got to run some pilot holes as well. Oh, jumping the gun. I got to get my pilot holes first. I got a little overzealous and I got the fillers done on this one corner, but you'll see it over there on the other side. That corner redone the way it should be. Here's what they look like with the original thought I had to work with. That's recessed like that. But now over here, they're all brought out flush and full to the face of the cabinet, which is a much nicer look. The crown will also meet it the same way it meets the door, so it's all a much better detail in my opinion coming up with that. So I'll get this other inside corner taken out and overlaid just like I did that one over there. Using the 3-inch fillers here is because it's just, that'll drop in without even being. And this is the top, which is almost a no-brainer. I'm going to go ahead and get all my pilot holes in. This is a 3-incher that I had, which is already sent for the factory, cut down to that size. It fit in this one as a finished face piece to back out, to bring this out that double thick like it's supposed to be. So I just got to get it screwed in place. I got this one ripped ready to go. It's going to fit well, but it does have an issue. It's got a nice long gradual bow over its length, and it's only evident when it's put in place up against, really evident where it's put in place up against the other. I got nice and tight, but I got about a large 16th gap in the middle. I'm going to fix that by drilling from the back side through both pieces and then draw that piece back tight, because just putting the screws in from the back side here is not going to cut it. And I need to do it before I put it in place so I don't do any more drilling. Hopefully I can drill in the right spot. That's always a big plus when I can do that. I'm going to set some of the main screws first, and then on the ends so it can still draw in the middle. Now I can get the one that's going to do the tightening up that I'm hoping to get done. And did a pretty good job. I got the margin that I need on this side, mainly straight. That's the biggest issue. Got a little bit of daylight showing, but I think I can work with that. And now I'm going to put the other two screws in that finishes this off for its holding power. And this one I think has a little bit of built-in support. If I left it in the rolling of the film, that was a broke off screw that I was fussing about the last go. I'm going to take advantage of it, use that to hold this in place so I don't have to hold on to it with hands and trying to run the screws in. This is another one I got put in recess up there. See those cat-like reflexes? It might work. All right, I think I'm down to my last one. Last two. Still got that upper one to do up there and a bottom one to do down below it. Looking like it almost belongs there. A little tight in the center. It's a lovely thing. It's like I have it upside down. The reason why I say they're upside down because these have holes in them where they hung them to spray paint them. So the holes are supposed to be at the top where you don't see them when you open up the door from the bottom. You don't see the holes on the bottom when you open them up from the floor. Now, this door agrees with what I see. All shaping up a lot better now. Actually, I'm going to check my fit because I find that after I put the backer on, it's very difficult to check its fit. Right now, I can just place it right in beside there, and if it's too wide, I know right off the bat. If it's too wide and I got to kick it in to get it in, then I really can't determine how much I have to take off because it's at this crazy angle because of the way it's been, well, either way, it's been configured to make it difficult. Actually, this is going to work out very well. I have a light gap, and there's a reason for that. Now the explanation. I always offset these a little bit about the margin of what the drawers are from the edge of the cabinet because this is a filler. Cabinets a lot of times are made so that there's a 1/16 of an inch space away from the edge of the carcass. Like this one right here. This has got a 1/16 of an inch projection over the face of the door so that when you put another cabinet beside it, that 1/16 here and that 1/16 over on the next cabinet gives you that 1/8 of an inch gap between the doors. That's what's standard. When you're dealing with fillers, they don't have that built into it. So I add that 1/16 of an inch so my fillers are not crowding the door, so I can have that luxury of that space to keep that 1/8 of an inch gap all the way through. If I don't have that, then I got to find that space, and I find that more difficult to deal with than trying to assemble something like this and getting that problem to go away, because now this mimics the carcass of a cabinet here with the way the drawer or door would typically overlay the face of the cabinet with that 1/16 of an inch difference in the margin there. Now to get this in place, I got to get the drawers out. Broke the screw head off. That's feeling a lot better. I didn't want to set the last screw until I got it right, because that helped keep it all in place. Now you can see what I did with that offset. I don't know if you can pick up on this gap over here in the picture, but I got a reasonable gap short of what the drawers need to be adjusted by. There's some shifting around and stuff, but that's adjustable. Over here, this is really tight on the drawer though, and that's the way they got assembled. So now I have the room to simply take it all by adjusting this door this way if need be, even though it looks like it's going to crowd the oven. But I can still navigate this a little bit easier rather than what it would have been if I had not made that little 1/16 of an inch jog in that filler. As mentioned earlier, it's always wise to start with the longest pieces first. And before, I thought I was not going to have the room to do that. Again, I'm going back to my original mindset. But now I have plenty of crown, at least so I believe, unless I massively screw up. But the reason why I'm going with the larger pieces first and then going down to the short ones, because I can always reuse the ones that may be cut too short in places that are shorter. So I want to go ahead and proceed on around this corner, because all these get progressively shorter as they go around, which is kind of handy. So I'll cut this up. I got this cut about ready to go up, but I'm noticing on this one, hopefully it's not going to plague me too much. This has got a little lip right there. It's going to get these down over top of the doors a lot closer, since it goes up in the air like this on top of the cabinet. That little difference there is going to have this come down and crowd the door. So I'm going to put some shims that are about that thickness also, not thick at all. And I'm going to put them in place behind where they'll be on top of the cabinet. You won't see them, but it'll get it picked back up like I need over top of those doors to get past my issues that I see happening. I'm going to scribe this top. That turned out well. That's a much better margin. Anyway, I'm taking those 16th inch shims and doing that to these panels, because this is all crowded through here, and it's actually crowded in between the doors where I don't have that luxury of all that nice space. So before I measure this and get down and find my tape, I'm going to get this wrapped up. And what I'm doing is breaking off a little piece of this that's really thin, breaking it off. That way that's going to stay behind it, but I'm using this to realign it. And that way I can use that to shove it back in there past the face of the cabinet so nobody sees it. I'm going to get it started in the gap. I'll line up that break and send it back in there, just like that. And now I got my nice 1/8 inch gap there. Now for the tape. This is just going to be a dry run. It's slightly too long, so it shouldn't be a problem getting it out. It should go in really nice, if it does. see where my plane is. I might be able to knock this off in here. Catch that back corner cut. All right, I believe it still needs to be cut to length, but I got the back corner cut following the drywall better, and hopefully the ceiling better as well. So it's just a matter of cutting the length after I'm done here. And that's about as nice as it ever needs to be up there. I don't even think I got you in camera shot, but it ain't bad. Short of what I did to myself on the corner up here. All I need to do is screw this in and get some glue. It's MDF. I'm going to glue the joint. Sometimes on plywood I do too, or wood product I do, but this is this stuff needs all the help it can get. It's nice when it stays on line. That closed up really good, so really pleased about that. That doesn't happen all the time. We have reasonable gaps to start with where I need to give some. There's some room to take, what have you. So this is ready for adjustment. I'm going to continue on with this other side. The dimensions are actually very consistent all throughout the height, so this may go smoothly, but it might be also my famous last words, getting these pieces in place. I'm going to get my block plane handy so I can have that on hand, because everything should be very, very close to working. There it is, hiding behind my water bucket. Just get that handy and that'll be everything, Lord willing, that I need. Okay, I'm still going to do that trick with the shim on this one panel right here, because it's a very tight margin, very tight gap. Margin is a catch-all term, but I'm still going to wind up shoving 3 little pieces of this shim stock at each screw locator, 4 pieces, because that's how many screws there are. I'm going to get that in there and get that gap open just a little bit more, because it really needs it. I'm going to break them off first. And see, that's what I'm trying to do, is keep it so it was connected. All the other ones just wanted to break off and snap off rapidly. But I want to keep it on there like that so I can just simply shove it in there and finish breaking it off. And it'll break off right where I need it to. That's a little bit more than what I want to take off. It's like 1/8 of an inch, and this MDF is not going to be that congenial. So I'm going to get it closer and then fine tune it with my plane. If I haven't showed you in other videos, what I've been doing is severely angling the back edge so that what I need to take off on the front edge, like this little 16th right here, now I'm only tickling off. Actually, that's an exaggerated edge because it goes down a lot quicker to a finer edge up here, to where I'm only just taking just the slightest little bit of material because most of it's already hogged off on the back side. So between that one, this end here, in case I need to do either side, well, this one says I need to take out some, but I don't know exactly how much yet. But with this one, the same thing, because this ceiling drops down at that corner up there pretty quickly. And I'm not done with it yet, but I got it a lot closer. I got it a lot closer on my line than what I had. Now with that being back cut like that, now I can take my hand plane, block plane, and just smooth that off like with no effort whatsoever. The amount that you see me work on it, that was a lot because I had it almost square by the time I was done with it. Good. I can go ahead and detail this out, get a lot of stuff down that I don't need anymore. You know, this is a caulk to use for pre-finished trim where you don't have to paint it. It actually works out pretty good, but this is the compatible color, and it works out really good for these cabinets as well. So I'm going to go ahead and run this in the corners and wipe it in really hard so it's just like a little, I mean, you see the size of the gap that's up there. That's how big it'll be when I'm done with it. I put next to nothing into the joint to begin with, but then I wipe off the excess with this, so what's there is only in the joint itself, and I squeeze this out so hard. That's what I like about the 5-gallon bucket. Fill it up halfway full, in this case about a third. But that way I keep my hands down inside the bucket and squeeze the living crap out of this thing, and all the water that squirts out isn't all over the place in the house, so it stays in the bucket. Outstanding. Crown's in, looking sharp. Love it. And now I have the spare parts that I was expecting to have left over yesterday. When I was spinning my wheels so bad yesterday, just trying to figure out how to make these fillers work out, you know? Starting on the drilling of the hardware. And this is probably one of my better investments that I made right here. Just set this up to the center of your cabinet pulls, distance from the edge of the door that you want to the center line of the holes, and to the bottom of the door, and that'll hook right on to where you want it at and keep every single door consistent all the way through the way. And then you just remove this part to get it for your drawer fronts after you adjust the height, if that's what you need to do. And you also may, in some cases, if you change your hardware size, you'll have to adjust these as well to accommodate your hardware size. It is reversible. You can see that it's got a little plate. Everything's the same thickness on both sides. That doesn't matter if it's kicked around or not, but that's where the bottom of the door touches. And that right there, just, yeah, it just does everything you need. But it's been really a big, nice thing for me. I did drill my first hole, so I need to check, see if they're actually accurate. I think we're good there. The homeowner told me there was going to be something that looked odd in that package, and I found the one. Fortunately, there's a spare because the difference from one to the other. This is the one that I've been using everywhere. And then there's that one. Anyway, I'm glad there's a spare because this is the last three that I need to put on of that size. And then I got two other sizes I got to graduate to for the other drawers. It'll be just as simple for me to use the center line for the cabinet drawers because I'm going to have to go to the center line on all the drawers. So even if this 1-to-1 stop gauge would work on the side, I'm just going to start with the center lines because it'll be what I do with the rest of the drawers as well. And this drawer is a size 6, so I'm going to move this adjustment plate to, you can see there's a 3-inch mark there, I believe. I'm going to move it to a size 3, and that should get me in the center of that drawer with these 2 holes, because the holes on those drawers are the same as the rest of the handles. And this also happens to have a handy centering mark. I don't know if you can see it on there, but anyway, there's index marks for center line there, and they're on this side too. Anyway, that's the way you mark your drawers and line that up. Now I got to break out the adjustable screws. Again, these are graduated with a 1/4-inch increments in them, so that way there's no threads where you're cutting at. That way it doesn't damage the threads. But the trick is to get the cutter. It takes a good cutter, but you put them on those notches, and you make sure you pull the screws so you're at that side of the threads getting cut off, and don't bunch it up on the side of the thread yourself because you may still damage the threads. So the trick is, it's only like a 30-second hook. That's all you need between, hurting yourself trying to get the cut ends in or not. All right, these drawers, I'm just going to simply do the same thing. I'm going to measure the center line and then pop my holes in there. I got this now adjusted for this group of handles, and I was spread it out to where this is a good center to center mark. This is still the other setting that I had for the 2 lower drawers over there. So I'm going to start with the 2 lower drawers and then raise it up to the 3rd drawer here before I make the last adjustment for that set of drawers over on the other side over here. What I'm seeing is that these screws, when they're tight enough for compressing this face, they don't have the spacers in the back of the shelf. Some companies do, some companies don't. This one doesn't. So I'm adding a filler in there so I don't compress the front too much. And I'm going to add more to the ones over there that I just did. All right, this has got this kitchen install pretty much wrapped up. I have just one last thing to do, and that is to adjust all the doors. Now that everything's in place, everything's done. I have the pulls in place, which make it easy to open up the doors to get access to the hinge adjustments. So that's what you're going to see happen here. I'm going to remove the cover plates that expose the screws then that do the allow the doors to be adjusted. And I've got my little death trap over here, pardon the pun, but it's just a simple little makeshift thing that I can get to see all the gaps at the top of the cabinet, since I got those ones that are all the way up there. And of course, if I adjust the ones up here, then it affects the ones down on that lower run as well. So anyway, and I got to work all of them together. That's why I have that little scaffold set up. walk plank is all it is really, and a step ladder. Anyway, that's pretty much all there is to it to finish this up. And that's the last little piece that makes this look really the top notch that it should be. So here we go. You may not see it from there, but right here where I'm at, I can see over top of the cabinet doors, and I have a good bit of room over top of the doors to the crown. So I'm going to raise all of them up, probably about a 1/16 of an inch, because I got a good 3/16 here at the top of the doors, which is a good thing, because that way I can adjust everything else a little bit easier through this whole mass here. And the reason why I'm up here on this board is because now I can gauge these joints all right here in their entirety as a whole unit, rather than getting up and down a ladder from here to there to there to there. And I'm also running the risk of going up against the cabinetry with the ladder, to where this will get me where I need to be at one setting, getting this whole upper section done. That's got that top line of doors looking pretty good. I'm going to still come through and adjust this, and I'm going to finish off this top row over here so I can use that as my basis to get those lines to crosshair properly. Because the crosshairs here where the doors meet there, over here, and not so much this one, they're not meeting up like there's jogs and stuff. So I'm going to get those to line up really nice to make these look sweet. I'm really glad I put those shims on the side of this panel, because I got some nice gaps between all three of these doors here, reading very nicely. Find these little dings here and there that I don't know how they got there, but I'm going to take care of them now with a touch-up pen. As mentioned before, this section here, there's just like 3 small sections here, each one in its own segment, so to speak, where the refrigerator's out in front of these over here. These are separate from these because there's around the corner. So these only really need to be just trued up in their own plane, the small section. These over here, I can see some adjustment needed here. The crosshairs are not right. And actually, I'm going to show you what I'm talking about by the crosshairs. And that's what I mean by the crosshairs. You can see there are not a clean, distinct line passing from upper doors to lower doors. You can see that this joint here is larger at the top than the one at the bottom, and that's those are the adjustments that I'm going for. This one right here is really not looking too bad, but the left-hand door is lower than the right-hand door, and I'm going to adjust those so that they line up right. And how that's done, which you've been seeing me do with my back to the camera, has been removing this plate and exposing that screw and that screw. This screw gets the hinge to move in and out this way, so the door shifts from left to right on the face. And this screw back here moves the hinge in and out, so it moves the door away from the face of the cabinet, so you can get all 4 corners. So you can get all 4 corners matching. Now this one right here, that right there, that adjustment on This door will get rid of that by either bringing it in, if there's room, or even going so far as to taking that corner and bringing it out, which in turn pushes this corner in. So hopefully that's not too mind-boggling, taking the camera and doing what I'm doing. But these hinges here, again, this one right here, the first screw on all of them are for adjusting the gap to the left and to the right. Now this one needs to be squoze over that way according to these gaps here, but I have plenty of room over here to move this one over away as well. So that's the long and short of it. The other last adjustment is actually in the plates. These are different from others because some of the adjustments are actually in the hinge to raise it up or down. This is required to loosen this screw here and that screw there on both the top and the bottom hinge to lower the whole hinge up and down, and then tighten the screw once you get it back in place. So that's the long and short of how these adjust. So what I typically do is start by pulling off all the hinge cover plates to expose those two screws. They allow for the in and out and the left and right, because typically they all got to be messed with. And to pull each one as you need, it's just better to just go ahead and open up the doors, pull off all of them, because it's also just as easy to set all of them back on in one fell swoop rather than trifling with one as you go. Because anyway, you get into a rhythm of things and it just goes faster when you can do it all together at one time. So that's my process for doing this. Now here's the difference of what I'm talking about, the margins, getting them to crosshair up. The lights above it, I don't want to ruin the effect. Let me get that door open, closed. And see, the crosshairs are lining up very nicely now. The margins, the reveals, except for that one. That one was an odd man out, so to speak, because I had an odd situation here where I couldn't put a full thick end panel on, and when I brought this end panel out, it just looked really weird, so I chose to keep that one recessed. And because I did that, I also chose to keep that one recessed as well. I could have brought it out, but I just do one thing and I do the same thing again. But they're supposed to have been flush like these are, like you can see these here. So anyway, that's the only exception in the whole kitchen. I still think it looks good. It gave me some room to adjust some doors in where I wouldn't have had it otherwise unless I did that 1/16 of an inch adjustment. But these are all looking good. I'm going to move on to the doors down here now to get those right, because these drawers have their own issues. You see they're all over the place. Well, we'll get those squared away because those are ideally adjustable within the hardware itself, and I'll give you a little glimpse on that too. I don't know if you remember, this sink front fell off and smacked the floor with a vengeance and did not even cause any damage on the edges, but it did create a weakness over on this one side. So I'm going to have to, set a screw to hold it in place through the plastic part that's supposed to keep this at its elevation. And this one, I might have to do the same thing there. I showed the homeowner already what it takes to get these proper. But these are on a ratchet, and you heard it skip that time, which it's supposed to do, to get the height proper over on this one side. See, so now just that fast, that worked. But what I don't like is that this whole face is shifted over where this edge of this door is right in line with the carcass where they meet at, but over here, it's over by almost a 3/16 of an inch. So this is telling me it's not centered, but yet these are fixed in place. I'm going to see if I can shove it over. Oh, they do shift left and right. I just moved it over a gargantuan amount. and too much again. There you go. There's that little bit that I was looking for. I'm going to still give it just a little bit more. I need one more click out of it. There it is. Now I got a good margin between this drawer and that sink front. I'm still going to raise it up because it is that easy to raise up. And check its distance from the top of the sink, and it's uniform across the top of the sink from there to there. So that's set. Now I can adjust the doors based on that and then start getting the drawers adjusted down here. And again, I still got to pilot a hole through that plastic piece that's supposed to keep it in place, but override it by fixing it in place with a screw. And I'll do that here in a little bit, maybe even earlier. Yep. I can see what I need to do. And hopefully I won't drill a hole all the way through the whole drawer front. That would be really bad. There's the offending part. And this got weakened. So what I'm going to do is take a screw. So, and it just dropped just that fast. Gravity's a thing. I'm going to take a screw, a little short one, and just run it right straight through these two plastic pieces that want to slide by each other and lock them together with this screw here. A little pilot hole through the plastic and a little bit into the wood, not too much. Screw them in with this backer, this sink front in the right spot, and that should stay there as long as it ever needs to stay. All right, it's a staying. I'm going to raise up this drawer front, the sink front, that is a little bit more. I'm not really happy with it. I'm going to white knuckle, taking that chance that I'm going to blow through that thing again, but I just got to be careful. The reason why I'm choosing it up higher because the pole, the drawers beside it, their adjustments are already at the low position. There's adjustments to allow it to go up, so that's not a problem. I'd rather have more room to work with than none whatsoever. So that's the reason why I'm going that way with this. But now I got to make this gap look good, and I should have pulled all these plates, but I didn't. These are pretty much all separate standalone issues with all of them though. Earlier I mentioned how I was going to show you the workings on the underside of the drawer. Well, here's a peek of what we have here. And this right here is the elevation adjustment. It's actually like a wedge. So when you slide it that way, it pushes the wedge into it and raises the side of the cabinet up. This little dial here is a left and right movement. So in the center, you still it allows you to move probably as much as 1/8 of an inch each way. And you have also the one down there. So that allows you to move the drawer face over left and right, the whole drawer over left and right. This little wheel here throws the cabinet, the drawer out or in case it wants to set with one side of the drawer front farther out in front of the cabinet. That's the adjustments here for that. Pretty simple, as long as you know where to look for. So that's what I'm doing when I go underneath of this to trifle with all the fittings. And now I'm going to rotate those dials to throw it closer to the drawer front. And that worked out nice. This one needs to be thrown away. And that's nice there. Now I'm going to raise it up with those little slide thingies. Now that crosshair is beginning to look real nice. I'm lined up with a Lazy Susan over here. Actually, I think I can take back some of my, we'll see. I can adjust the Lazy Susan door to bring that gap over too, because I'm actually riding a little large over here. This drawer front needed to go down more, even though it was already bottomed out. So I loosened up the 2 screws that hold on the drawer front, slightly loosened, and then pushed it down, hoping that I was moving it. And that worked. All I need to do now is just get this door adjusted over, because I can see it progressively getting tighter. I'm going to loosen up all of the screws holding the drawer front on, enough to make it slip but not drop. I've also got it marked on the back where it used to be at, should it drop. I'm going to try to slide everything over that way and hope there's enough play in the handles, because typically I should have done this before, because it didn't look like they were that bad, but now it's treating me badly, to where hopefully I won't have to re-drill these holes to get the handle in. And checking each step of the way, because things change when things get tightened up. Well, I don't know if you picked up on everything, all the nuances that it took to get these doors adjusted. I tried to give you the highlights on adjusting these types of hardware. Not all of them are the same, but they all have certain nuances for how they're adjusted underneath, how they release from underneath. So at least give you an idea on where to look for while you're getting your doors adjusted, because, you know, this is all brand new. Over time, things are going to move. You use the doors, they are going to shift, they're going to adjust, they're going to wear in, break in, whatever you want to call it, hopefully not break. But to know where these adjustments are is going to be handy to know, because these adjustments can correct whatever time and wear it does to your cabinet. So hopefully you learned something from it. And this is going to wrap this job up. Thank you very much for watching. Again, please like and subscribe. You have a great day. Bye-bye.